Hi, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Pat, what was the top story for you?
I think it's still Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh, and the nomination and, the sexual allegations.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
A new little gem surfaces every day. Jason.
It's totally Kavanaugh, but that leads into what happened to Cruz today, so I'm going to talk about from the Cruz angle.
Okay. Going to get into all of that, but first, I want to thank our sponsor, Riduzone. We were just talking off air. Jason was like, I'm trying this new diet and I can't figure out what works. And I'm like, hello, have you tried Riduzone?
How have I sat at this table? Not yet. I'm trying this fasting thing and it's killing me.
Yeah.
It's absolutely killing me.
You don't have to do that.
It's torture.
Well, because we've I would say all of us at this table have already reached the age, right, where it's not as easy as it used to be to lose weight. I'm sure as a male, you used to just stop drinking soda once a day or something and you lose 20 pounds in a week.
I could walk to the mailbox and lose weight.
Yeah.
Literally just a few years ago. I hit 40 and all that went out the window.
It's not so easy anymore. So Riduzone helps you. It's the good molecule in olive oil that helps you feel full and it helps boost your metabolism. I use it personally. I battled with, weight almost my entire teen life. There's me as a very large Longhorn fan. But I lost 100 pounds and I still just could not figure out how to get rid of those cravings, and my metabolism was always sluggish. So it's worked for me. It can work for you. You can try it now by going to riduzone.com. Get 30% off a 3-pack of bottles, which is a 3-month supply, by using promo code TheBlaze. All right, Pat, the latest and greatest on Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
So much happened, I feel, in the last 24 hours since we last talked about it.
How's that even possible? It seems like that's already too much has happened on this.
I know.
It keeps on getting worse.
He went on Fox News and gave that interview, and then we heard from Ronan Farrow, who also went on the news, and Michael Avenatti too. So
we should probably show people, if you missed the interview on Fox News, do we have some of what he said about being a virgin and all that?
Yes.
Which, Democrats are having a struggle with this because they can't conceive of a person who might have actually abstained from sex in high school. That to them means he's not credible. Well, there are actually people who do that and who have done that. Here's what he said on Fox.
We're talking about an allegation of sexual assault. I've never sexually assaulted anyone. I did not have sexual intercourse or anything close to sexual intercourse in high school or for many years thereafter. And the girls from the schools I went to and I were friends.
So you're saying that through all these years that are in question, you were a virgin?
That's correct.
Never had sexual intercourse with anyone in high school?
Correct.
And through what years in college, since we're probing into your personal life here?
Many years after. I'll leave it at that.
What kind of freak is this man? What is the deal?
It's disgusting that he has to admit this.
I know. It is.
I know.
Fox
I was
News.
embarrassed for him that he felt that he had to go that far just to clear his name. Well, and you think about it, he knows, he's a very smart man. He understands that would be a very dangerous lie to say if it weren't absolutely true. It would only take one woman to sink him and say, that's not true. I had sex with him when we were seniors in high school, or whatever the case may be. I mean, he knows that he couldn't get away with lying about that.
Very risky because it already seems like they're lying about everything else.
Right.
This is very risky for him to say because you're basically
giving them ammunition.
You're opening them up to say, all right, we don't. That's one more thing that we can discredit him for. Just have some random, chick call up. Very, very risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I found them both he and his wife, really credible last night. I believed him.
I did too.
I believe him. And Democrats don't, but they can't conceive of somebody who actually saved himself for his wife. That doesn't happen, I guess, in their mind anymore.
Who would have such morals and virtue?
Right.
And they make fun of those. It's just like making fun of Vice President Pence's morals on these things. So they make fun of it then, and then when it comes out that later they ended up looking like complete hypocrites. When I can't believe this is virtuous behavior. But now you're condemning people after the fact. It's just so insane.
And we're talking about believing him. Let's go ahead and watch the part where he talked about that he's not going to let the false accusations get to him.
Did you guys ever look at each other and say, I'm out, this is enough, just isn't worth it?
I'm not going to let false accusations drive us out of this process, and we're looking for a fair process where I can be heard and defend my integrity, my lifelong record of promoting dignity and equality for women, starting with the women who knew me when I was 14 years old.
Maybe it won't deter him, but what about others in the future? Would you want to subject yourself to this?
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I feel sorry for his wife there.
Yeah,
I mean, you're doing this for women, but you're completely destroying a woman's life right
And
now.
what about his daughters?
Yes.
Even worse.
Well, and how about we're supposed to say believe all women, but we're not supposed to believe his wife when she says that he's not that kind of person. Don't believe all women when it's not, somehow bolstering the left's claims.
Yeah. And the two women, by the way, who came out and said they dated him and he was a perfect gentleman to them, and it was completely out of character for him to have done any of these things he's accused of. And the accusations themselves were talked about on George Stephanopoulos' show with Ronan Farrow. And it's pretty amazing what Ronan Farrow admitted to. This is supposedly the big journalist right now who's breaking all of these stories, and he's doing this incredible job for The New Yorker. Listen to what he admits to about these allegations.
There is a coalition of former Yale students working with Brett Kavanaugh's office. A number of them who signed onto a statement in this article pushing back against Ms. Ramirez's claim are individuals she alleged to be participants in this attack on her, which Brett Kavanaugh's office seemed surprised by. And we then redacted the names of those individuals at their request because they were alleged to be involved. The point I want to make here is this. It is not accurate to say that those who knew him at the time dispute this. We talked to a roommate from the time that was living with him when this alleged incident took place, who said he was indeed frequently drunk, that he took part in activity that made him unsurprised by this claim, and that he found this woman credible. He's one of several people in this story who back Ms. Ramirez, and we wouldn't have run this if we didn't have a careful basis of people who had heard at the time and found her credible.
But by your own admission, no eyewitnesses to the incident?
Absolutely, and we disclosed that up front, and we also disclosed that she was inebriated at the time. And I think the fact that she took several days to consider and really carefully make sure that she had an evidentiary basis for this, and other people were backing her account who had heard at the time and been told, speaks well of her level of caution.
Yeah, but
this is not the behavior of someone who is fabricating.
Let me press you on that, though, because that sentence really did jump out at me when I read the article. She says that at first she wasn't sure this was Kavanaugh when you first came to her last week, and then you write, after 6 days of carefully assessing her memories and consulting with her attorney, she did become confident that it was him.
Okay, there's a lot there.
Yes.
To get into.
A lot there to dissect.
First of all, she took several days.
6
days. She had 35 years. She had 35 years to assess who this was.
That's a lot of days.
Yeah, it's a lot of days.
5 times 35.
It's more than 6, I'm pretty sure, right?
I mean, I'm not great at math, but
365 seems like more than 6.
Yes.
You know, so basically what they really mean is she took several days to try and convince herself that this would be okay to do.
That's what it really means.
That's exactly what it was.
And how about the part where a roommate said it's not unusual for him to have been drunk? So what? First of all, that's not the issue. Secondly, he wasn't surprised by this? What does that mean? That means nothing.
No.
They've got no eyewitnesses, and the people who were supposedly eyewitnesses all said it didn't happen.
Yeah, they're trying to convolute everything by saying, well, he has one roommate who said that he frequently got drunk. That doesn't mean he was out there assaulting women.
No,
there
it
are
doesn't.
plenty of people who get drunk all the time who don't rape women. Those are not two in the same.
Where are the journalistic standards here? Like what book are you
any.
reading out? Like it's very telling that New York Times and Washington Post didn't touch this.
Yeah.
Very telling, because you can't just call up some random person that went to the school and say, hey, did you ever see this guy drinking? Okay, then I totally believe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hearsay.
Terrible
it's
journalism.
Just hearsay. You have to have some kind of corroborating witness that saw the event happen, or some other kind of evidence that backs it up. Otherwise, you don't print it.
Well, and think about the media outlets who passed on the story and how terrible they already are when it comes to standards of journalism. Right. And even they passed on the story. And then I heard Ronan Farrow mentioned the two people who they chose to redact their names after it had been published. those people actually ended up being liberal activists, which is why it was an issue that their names were out there. Once their names were out there, I believe it was the Federalist, who is an outlet I don't always agree with, but this was a very fact-based piece that they did, that it said, oh, these names that were in the initial article that were redacted, well, screenshots are forever, and we went and, they looked up these people, and they're anti-Trump liberal activists. So surely they would find no other motivation but seeking the truth.
And I love that a lot of these anchors have been asking, why would these women make this story up? Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a political motivation here. Maybe they hate Donald Trump and his nominee. I don't know. Is that possible?
We're hearing that if Kavanaugh is in fact confirmed, that he will kill women. Women will die. So if that's what they think, I'm pretty sure that would be enough motivation for them to go out and make these accusations up just to sully his reputation.
And what's sad is I think a lot of people actually believe that. I really do. It's like climate control people. They actually think the world's about to explode. Mm-hmm. So that's their main issue.
Are you telling me that it's not?
Are you on that side, Sarah G? But seriously, they literally believe this. They believe that if they don't have Obamacare or single-payer health care, people will die in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what was happening before we had Obamacare.
Right. You had to step over them when you walked across the street.
It was
really
a big
bad.
nuisance. It was awful. So let's get to Ted Cruz and what happened to him in light of all of what's going on with Kavanaugh.
Yeah, so Ted Cruz was, what they said was, he was at a restaurant, really high-end restaurant. He was taking his wife out to dinner, and it was in Washington, D.C., apparently just a stone's throw from the White House. Some people said it was like across the street from the White House. But they show up, they're walking to their table, and then I believe we had the video, so this happened afterwards.
We believe survivors! 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 Beto is way hotter than you do! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! We believe survivors! God bless you! Excuse me, let my wife through. We believe survivors! For God, we believe survivors! We believe survivors!
Despicable.
I think that's despicable.
We believe survivors!
They believe the survivors, except for the survivor of the Keith Ellison sexual assaults.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's actually evidence.
Or Juanita Broderick.
Can't bring any of that up. It's so ridiculous.
Kathleen Willey.
There's so many infuriating things about this. For one, was there no security in this high-end restaurant? Were there no police across the street from the White House that you could have ran out and got?
Oh, they were happy to
Did the owners not care?
They were happy to escort Ted and Heidi out of the restaurant, and then after Ted and Heidi were escorted out because they couldn't stay there, then they said, you guys really need to leave. Like, do you think maybe you could have tried telling them that before Ted and Heidi were forced to leave the restaurant?
Before your customers got chased out?
So, right after this, the Washington, D.C. Antifa branch, they tweeted this out as check this out, we really nailed them. They showed the video, and then it was a really long tweet thread, but they said, at one point, they actually said, you are not safe, we will find you wherever you are. So they threatened him, and they did a targeted harassment that they documented on video. Does that sound familiar from real recent? It's exactly the same thing that Alex Jones got banned and permanently kicked off of Twitter for. Yes. Exactly the same thing. Now, I hate to bring up Alex Jones again, but again, where are your standards, Twitter? Where are they? Because you're not following them. If you followed those standards, if you actually set that should be in a rule book somewhere, because you said that's the reason why you banned Alex Jones, for going after someone, targeting them, and harassing them, and using their platform to do it, and also threatening language. They did the exact same thing. And it's not just the Washington, D.C. branch of Antifa. They have tons. All of their branches all over the country have the exact same thing, where they do the same thing almost day in and day out. Why are they still allowed to post?
Yeah. We have more to say on this, but let's take a quick break. We'll be back. See, they doxed Gavin McInnes.
No. Wait, how do you dox them?
Well, they posted.
Yeah.
I want to get back into what happened to Ted Cruz last night, but before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. I know I say this every time, but I'm so mad. I was not here whenever you guys did that big iTarget Pro demonstration, and I saw the video.
Oh, I wasn't here for that either. You did one?
Yeah, I ran the safety brief on
there. Fun, right?
Kidding,
it was dope.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I was sitting
Really cool.
in the makeup room, and I watched that commercial, and I was just like, oh, no way. Oh my gosh, it does what? I can't believe I wasn't here for this.
If that seemed fun,
it's so awesome.
If that seemed fun, you need to get this bad boy, put it in your house, because you can have that every single day, and it's so important. It's so important.
Fun. Plus, you get so much training.
Yes.
You train a lot more than if you're going to go to the range. And think of the savings in ammo that you don't have to buy.
Yes.
And range fees. It's really expensive. The ammo especially is
Shooting is such a
outrageous.
perishable skill. It's such a perishable skill. I've spent my entire life shooting. I haven't shot for the longest time, and I've lost a lot of it. But since I've gotten iTarget Pro, you can do it in your house. You put that little round in there. You can do it.
It's a caliber-specific laser.
Caliber-specific laser.
It uses the laser, and then you have an app on your phone that then tracks. You put up a target, and it actually tracks how well you're shooting the target.
So you see where it hits the target with the laser. It's really cool.
You don't have to actually use bullets that go through your walls and your furniture. So that's also
and
a
into
plus.
other people on the other side of the wall, which is a big plus.
We're saving lives over here, you guys.
I use it when I want to dry fire for myself. I use it also as a game for my entire family. You can teach them how to shoot better, but you can also teach them safety as well. While you're from the comfort of your home, you really cannot beat it. It's amazing.
That's awesome. You can save 10% right now with promo code NEWS. Go to itargetpro.com, promo code NEWS. Getting back into what happened to Ted Cruz, a couple other things that we had to break and couldn't touch on. Did you guys hear the guy who yelled, "Beto is hotter than you, dude"?
That was a woman.
Excuse me, a woman. I had no idea. Sorry, my apologies.
And I thought on the left, you weren't supposed to bring up people's looks.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that, So, but I mean, I'm just like, is that, so that's where we are in society, in politics, that's supposed to be some kind of zinger.
Yeah.
Beto's hotter than you, dude.
I guess it's a reason to vote for him.
Right. Like, he should win because you're not attractive and he sort of is, but not really. This is terrible where we're at. I wanted to play one other clip from that. Because, again, we talk about believe all women. The left is very insulted if you dare say that women try to use this, sexual assault claim to gain something for political gain or otherwise. And I want to take a look at another survivor questioning Cruz.
We believe survivors. We believe survivors.
I'd love to talk with you about Brett Kavanaugh tonight.
We believe survivors.
I'm a constituent. I'd love to know what your vote is going to be tonight.
Survivors.
I know that you're very close friends with Mr. Kavanaugh.
We believe
And do you believe survivors, sir? Please don't touch me. Do you believe in survivors? We believe survivors. We believe survivors.
We believe survivors.
Senator, I have a right to know what your position is on Brett Kavanaugh.
We believe
God bless you, ma'am.
Bless you as well. I really appreciate you. I'm a survivor of sexual assault, ma'am. I believe all survivors. There are now 3 people who have come forward.
Okay, I can't even take this anymore. I can't even take this anymore. I'm a survivor too, and I don't believe all women because there are people in this world who are terrible people. There are people in this world who misremember things. There are people in this world that after 35 years later don't have a very clear recollection of what happened to them when they were 17 years old. So I'm sorry, I don't actually believe all women just because they say that they're a survivor.
Yeah, not automatically.
No.
And you take them seriously if it warrants, if the situation warrants. But you don't immediately believe the accuser. That's un-American.
And that not only is it un-American, it makes a mockery of people who actually have been through a sexual assault and have to, there are long-term effects from that people have to live with for the rest of their lives after that happens. So they're making a mockery of this entire movement, which, by the way, as I think Stu has pointed out in the past, the MeToo movement, ultimately, they did do some good. I mean, they uncovered some really terrible things going on in Hollywood, right? But it's almost like all the time we see these left-wing organizations pop up like Black Lives Matter and the MeToo movement, and that at the heart of it, I want to sympathize with them and I want to say, you know what? I see that there is something going on that you're really trying to make better, and I agree with some of your sentiment. And then the left completely co-opts it and turns it into this boy who cried wolf situation, and then nobody wants to listen to anything that they have to say.
And they usually turn it into a Marxist movement, too.
Yeah.
That's what Black Lives Matter turned out to be. That's probably where this Me Too movement will head.
The Me Too movement's worst trait about it was that it began in Hollywood. I mean, it's snowballed from there. But you had evidence, you had witnesses, a very strong case that Weinstein was doing what he was doing. Like it was
almost all of Hollywood is raping each other. We've known that for years.
And that's the thing. That's what Argento case has really brought out. Is like some of the people that are the strongest advocates for it. We know that you were hypocrites because we know that you knew what was going on for the longest time.
Yes.
And
They talked about it.
You talked about it. You gave standing ovations for the people that were assaulting people.
Yeah, and gave them awards.
Yes.
Yeah. So believe all women because they say that they're survivors. But Michael Avenatti's supposed client, we still don't know who this person is. There's an interesting theory going on.
I'm so glad you brought this up. So this is almost like breaking news. This is just coming out now. Have you heard about this?
No, I don't think so.
So this just came out now. Grant, before I say anything, let me caveat this.
This is all speculation. We don't know whether or not it's true. But if the primetime news is gonna tout some random women's story from 35 years ago with no evidence to prove that it's true, we're going to talk about this.
But I have a good spin on it, just in case this is. But let me just say this is probably not true. But if it is, it's hilarious.
But it proves the ridiculousness of this.
So exactly. So we know how 4chan has pranked people in the past, and they fall for it. There was the white power OK symbol. There were some other things I'm escaping my mind right now, but they're kind of famous for this. So someone on 4chan just came out, and we have this up on the screen right now. I'm not going to go into all this. It's not safe for work. I have tweeted this at Jason Buttrell, so you can read it in its entirety. Just know that it's not safe for work, and don't read this around your family, or if you just have a problem with some of the language, just don't read it. But to summarize it for you, in case you don't want to pollute your eyes, it basically says that this guy had his, quote, stripper girlfriend use a burner phone and call
Avenatti?
No, just some random unknown
guy on the internet. Troll people.
Got his stripper girlfriend on a burner phone to call Avenatti and say that she went to school with Kavanaugh and that this is where the rape gang thing came from. And then she saw it. She was a victim of it, and that it was this big deal when they were going to school. It goes into saying that Avenatti was like foaming at the mouth, basically trying to get her statement on CNN. She first said she was going to do it on Anderson Cooper, but she's like, no, I don't want to be around men. And so they like push it off to somebody else, another female host. It gets ridiculous. And it even goes to allege that he offered $75,000 to her, that they were going to wire to her bank account if she would agree to do it. And then eventually they had enough of it, broke the burner phones, left it. They said that instantly after they broke contact, he disabled his Twitter account.
He locked his Twitter. He locked his Twitter down, and there's the little lock icon when you go to his Twitter.
Right.
So you have to wonder, why did he lock his
plausible.
Twitter
It sounds
account
plausible.
at the same time?
Now, let me say that this is probably not true. If it is true, if it turns out to be true,
I hope it's so true.
It's hilarious.
I hope it's true.
But if it's not, it's perfect satire for everything surrounding this Kavanaugh debacle. The perfect satire, because it does not matter. Facts do not matter. They don't even care about getting corroborating witnesses or evidence. It doesn't matter. They're literally foaming at the mouth to get anything they can that's possible. So if this is not true, it's the perfect satire for what's actually going on right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you sometimes just want to be like, okay, I'm ready to just drive off a cliff? I'm so tired of living in a world like this. Back in a minute.
I heard that Kavanaugh is skinning children alive, and then he boils them in a giant pot
Underneath that picture.
I could see that. Are you like me and you're just ready to just drive over a cliff because you're so tired of dealing with all of this ridiculousness going on? Have you picked up Glenn's new book yet? Because if not, you should. It goes right along with what we're talking about today, Addicted to Outrage. He is also going to be going on tour. I know he's going to be in Texas. He's going to San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas the weekend of October 25th through the 27th. But I believe it's a 12-city tour, I believe it is. And he's going to be going all over the place. So make sure that you go to glennbeck.com/tour and get your tickets. It's funny because I think people who haven't listened to Glenn in a while or aren't familiar with him now don't realize he's actually really funny. It's legitimately going to be a really good show because who knew Glenn Beck, Mr. Doom and Gloom, can actually do comedy. And he's actually good at it. So go get your tickets now, and we are headed into overtime. See you there.